our first option for our first story is to talk about the death. We can't do both of them because they're similar in theme. Would you like to
We're
hear a
starting off
story
with comedy death, Darwin
about
Awards. You know,
Larry Booyuk, the battle winner, who was kind of a hapless character? So we have that option. Okay, we'll get
we
to
talk
the
about
lads in
Larry
a minute.
Booyuk.
Or we could talk about Fergus McRoy. So which one would you like to hear?
Let's give it. Anyone who wants to hear Leary, shout now.
All
Anyone
right.
who wants to hear Fergus, shout now.
The ladies are mad for Fergus, like mad for Fergus. What was that? Yeah.
Listen, he died as he lived, having sex. He did.
He did. He did. All right. So we start off with something, musical and Fergusy. It's my musical note.
Meaty, girthy.
Meaty, girthy. You see, shut the. Not your ties, Erica. You see, Fergus was fantastic. He had a great, brilliant, and phenomenally big sword. He could chop the tops off mountains. It was said a great rainbow arc came from his sword when he unsheathed Leocan, the great sword. And lots of ladies saw lots of colours all the time. Well, he was famous for being the king of Ulster until, of course, he married Nessa Niesa, the not-so-gentle, and gave the kingship to her young son, Crohor MacNassa. And, well, things didn't go very well for Fergus after that decision, realising that he shouldn't have made that deal just for the sake of marriage with Nessa. And so, after a few tragic stories that we won't get into, he went on down to Connacht. Connacht, the nemesis of Ulster, the arch rivalry between them had gone on for decades, probably because Crohor and Maeve had been married once and they didn't like each other at all. Fergus became one of the exiles of Crave Rua, the Red Branch. He brought a whole fighting faction after, of course, the death of Deirdre and the sons of Ishnak. And he came down to Connacht and, well, he got on handsomely there. And he became one of Maeve's lovers. And it was said that she needed 30 men to keep her satisfied in a day. So, or Fergus McRoy. So he was just that good. He was just that good. Now, Ailill, her consort, was never jealous. That was one of the reasons she was allowed to marry him, or he was allowed to marry her. That was, because he could not have any jealousy. Anyone that had a chance of being with Maeve had to be as brave as her, had to be as generous and have no jealousy. And Ailill ticked those boxes just about. Although when Fergus showed up, it didn't really play out that way. You see, Fergus came along and he helped Maeve win the Brown Bull of Cooley, being the great leader of that army that went and fought against Cuchulainn. But that's a story for another time. Check out our podcast if you haven't heard it. So, how did Fergus meet his end? Well, he spent a long time in Connacht. And Crohor MacNassa, he died, and they weren't sure who to give the kingship back to. They nearly decided to give it back to Fergus. He was great after all. Great big sword, very popular with the ladies. But they decided to give it to Crohor's son. And that was a good idea until Maeve killed him in an ambush. It was just the way it was. And the kingship of Ulster fell into ruin, but Fergus McRoy, well, he stayed in Connacht. Maybe his heart was with Maeve, the intoxicating one with the long face, the brilliant red hair, and that way that she had about herself and how she intoxicated all the men around her, including Fergus. And he befriended, not Ailill, obviously not Ailill, but he befriended Ailill's brother, who was blind. And I looked up his name at the start.
You did. I believe he was another Leary or Lugat. He was Lugat.
Lugat Delicum.
There you go. Blind Lugat.
Blind Lugat. And Lugat was very handy, actually, at hunting. despite the fact that he was blind, Fergus would go out into the woods and he'd tell him where the sound was coming from. And he'd hear it, he'd look, as long as he got pointed in the right direction, he was deadly. Really good sense of hearing. And so Fergus and Lugaid would go out hunting, and this was the way they forged a friendship. Until the day they went out, they caught their deer, and they had, well, a chance to get into the waterways, the lakes. Maeve was there. Maeve decided to comb her hair. Fergus was famously doing breaststroke, backstroke, and Maeve just decided to jump up on top of him. You know, test out the sword if it was still working. It had been a while. And, well, Aurelian. He went to his brother Louis, and he said, there's a doe and a deer in the river there.
Buck?
A buck, a deer. Yeah.
A buck and a doe.
A buck and a doe, sorry.
There you go.
A buck and a doe are in the river, okay?
Yeah.
And they're having all sorts of fun, and you can hear them splashing around, can't you?
Yeah.
And he pointed at him, is this the way we are? Just take a step to your left there. Now they're fucking right there. Okay, so he had himself ready to go, and he threw a great and true throw, and it landed in the chest of Fergus McGraw. And when he saw who had cast the throw, he left out a hollow cry and fell to his demise. And that was the end of the great, brilliant Fergus McRoy.
Yeah. Slain by Aurelian McMurtough, who was a nasty little prick, but he's going to die later on tonight.
Don't you worry. He gets
Don't
his
you
comeuppance.
worry.
He fucking
He's
does.
also going to die.